Hello and welcome. My name is Lisa Antrobus, and I am completing this presentation as part of my graduate program at Lamar University for digital learning and leading. In this presentation, I will be explaining how I plan to use the growth mindset to integrate technology into the classroom. Before we get started, I want to give you some background information on the difference between the fixed mindset and the growth mindset and the 4 steps to improving a growth mindset.
Virtually all great people who've been successful in any field have possessed growth mindset qualities. But how can you develop them in yourself? Step 1. Learn to hear your fixed mindset voice. When faced with a new challenge, the voice might say, "Are you sure you can do it? Maybe you don't have the talent." But what if you fail? You'll be a failure. People will laugh at you for even thinking you had talent. If you don't try, you can protect yourself and keep your dignity. When you hit a setback, the voice might say, "This would have been a snap if you'd really had talent. You see, I told you it was a risk. Now you've shown the world how limited you are. It's not too late to back out, make excuses, and try to regain your dignity." As you face criticism, you might hear yourself say, "It's not my fault. It was something or someone else's fault." Constructive feedback might make you feel angry at the person who's giving you feedback. Who do they think they are? I'll put them in their place. Even if the feedback is specific and very constructive, you might just hear, "I'm really disappointed in you. I thought you were capable, but now I see you're not." Step 2. Recognizing that you have a choice. How you interpret challenges, setbacks, and criticism is your choice and yours alone. You can interpret them in a fixed mindset as signs that your talent or abilities are lacking, or in a growth mindset as signs that you need to ramp up your strategies and effort, stretch yourself, and expand your abilities. It's up to you. So as you face challenges, setbacks, and criticism, hear the fixed mindset voice and Step 3. Talk back to it with a growth mindset voice. As you approach a challenge, the fixed mindset says, "Are you sure you can do it? Maybe you don't have the talent." The growth mindset answers, "I'm not sure I can do it now, but I think I can learn to with time and effort." Fixed mindset, "But what if you fail? You'll be a failure." Growth mindset, "Most successful people fail somewhere along the way to success." Fixed mindset, "If you don't try, you can protect yourself and keep your dignity." Growth mindset, "If I don't try, I automatically fail. Where's the dignity in that?" When you hit a setback, fixed mindset, "This would have been a snap if you really had talent." Growth mindset, "That is so wrong. Basketball wasn't easy for Michael Jordan, and science wasn't easy for Thomas Edison or Albert Einstein. They had a passion and put in tons of effort." As you face criticism, fixed mindset, "It's not my fault. It was something or someone else's fault." Growth mindset, "If I don't take responsibility, I can't fix it. Let me listen, however painful it is, and learn whatever I can." Then, Step 4. Take the growth mindset action. Over time, which voice you listen to becomes entirely your choice. Whether you take on the challenge wholeheartedly, learn from your setbacks and try again, or hear the feedback and act on it. Success is now in your hands. If you focus on process, do your best, and enjoy it.
Now that you have some background between the difference of a fixed mindset and a growth mindset, I am going to walk you through what I plan on doing in order to incorporate technology into the classroom using these 4 steps. Step 1, listening to my fixed mindset. While I consider myself primarily having a growth mindset, after reflecting about who I want to become as an educator, I have realized that I have had a fixed mindset when it comes to incorporating technology into the classroom. My mindset has been that learning how to use all the new technology effectively for classroom use would take way too much time, and what I'm currently doing has improved student achievement. So why reinvent the wheel? Now I realize that this was my fixed mindset talking. Although I am comfortable with technology, I wanted to stay in my comfort zone and teach the way that I have always taught. Step 2, recognizing that I have a choice. Am I satisfied with just seeing growth and student achievement? Or do I want to see students take ownership in their learning? Do I want to instill autonomy, mastery, and purpose in each learning activity where students are intrinsically motivated to learn because they're genuinely interested in growing their brains? Step 3, talking back with a growth mindset. For me, not pursuing technology and integration was never about doubting my ability. It was more about doubting whether the time and energy would achieve worthwhile results. Now that I am convinced that it will, there are a few instances where I can predict needing to recognize my fixed mindset and talk back with a growth mindset. These instances are time, technology limitations, and anxiety. The first one, time. My fixed mindset might say, it is going to take time for my students to learn how to use these new technology programs. I could be covering so much more material during this time. I have a pacing guide to keep up with. I need to talk back with my growth mindset. I will only be losing a small amount of instructional time in the beginning. However, the learning my students will be doing through the use of these new programs will be so much more engaging and purposeful that it will be worth it. One must learn to walk before one can run. Technology limitations. My fixed mindset might say, my room is small and the only way I could project a Pear Deck presentation would be with an old school projector. I don't even have a spot where I could set the projector up where it wouldn't interfere with student workspace. Plus, I have to share a Chrome cart with 4 other teachers and would have to check the computers out every day. It's not really worth all this extra effort when I don't have what I need readily available. Talking back with my growth mindset, I would say, nothing ventured, nothing gained. It is worth it to give it a try. I want my students to be more actively engaged while learning, and I want to give them more autonomy. Technology is the way to do this. These are small problems to have. I can think of a creative way to set up my small workspace to allow for the projector to be used. Plus, checking out the computers is a small annoyance, but the satisfaction I am sure to feel when I see my students taking ownership with their learning will make it worth it. Anxiety. My fixed mindset will say, I feel so overwhelmed. There are so many things I need to do in order to integrate technology. I have to research programs, learn how to use them, make lesson plans that follow the curriculum, and then teach the students how to use the technology. Where do I even begin? Do I really want to take on this big risk? I have to talk back with my growth mindset and say, take a deep breath. I am thinking too big, focus too much on the big picture. This is a worthwhile goal, and while understanding what the goal will look like long term is important, it is equally important to make short term goals. I can do this. I just need to think about what steps I can realistically take to start the process. Step 4, my growth mindset action plan. First, I need to reflect and determine a long term goal. My long term goal is that 80% of classroom time will be with integrated technology. Now, I have to realize and accept that this is an ambitious goal that will take time to achieve. So, I also need to set smaller, more manageable goals to work towards first. My first short term goal will be to integrate a final project for the current unit using technology. The technology I will use is called Seesaw. The students will be able to draw a picture of the life cycles we've been learning about and then use a microphone to record the process of the life cycle using academic vocabulary. Next, I'm going to attend a training to learn how to use Pear Deck effectively. Once I've attended this webinar, I will use the Pear Deck's flashcard factory in the next unit to have students create their own drawings and definitions to represent vocabulary terms. Then, I will determine a way to reorganize my small workspace to allow for the use of a projector. After I've done this, I will create a Pear Deck presentation with interactive questions to use for a lesson in the next unit. An ongoing goal that I will be having throughout the entire process will be to reflect every Friday. I need to remind myself that being uncomfortable means that I am growing as a teacher. I plan to write down times when I've heard my fixed mindset that week and whether I was successful in talking back with a growth mindset without judgment. I am going to determine what went well for the week in terms of technology integration and what adjustments need to be made. Finally, I will decide if I am ready to try incorporating a new piece of technology or if I'm not quite ready yet. Finally, while I am working on my own growth mindset, I also need to be modeling growth mindset for my students. As you can see in this graphic, a person with a fixed mindset reacts to challenging situations in a different way from a person with a growth mindset. While using this technology, some of my students will be hesitant to try the new challenging projects and may want to give up easily, especially if they see their classmates doing it with ease. This is where I will step in to model the growth mindset for them. These are some of the responses I plan to use with my students who have a fixed mindset response to the challenging work they will be doing. On the left are their possible responses, and on the right are some ideas of how I can respond. First, if they are trying to avoid the challenge, I could say, I know this might seem hard, but you can do hard things, and I am here to help. If some students are giving up easily, I could say, it's great that this is hard for you. It just means you don't know how to do it yet. Let's work together to learn new strategies to solve the problem you are having. If a student is completing the assignment with very little effort, I could say, working hard and giving your best effort is how we grow our brains. Let's look at what you have done so far and see if we can add more. Next, if a student is shutting down when he receives feedback, I could say, let's go back and look at your project to see if we can find ways to make your brain stronger. And finally, if a student decides to shut down when they are seeing other people are succeeding, I could say, the feeling you have of this being hard is great. It means your brain is growing. Let's see how she or he is doing this and learn from her or him. It is equally important for me to remember not to praise students for their grades or for being smart. Instead, I want to focus on the process, their ability to persevere, which means they are truly learning. So instead of praising a student with a fixed mindset and saying, wow, you're doing great, you are so smart, I should say, I like the way you are trying out different ways of doing this to figure out which one works best. Or instead of saying, wow, that was so easy for you, I could say, that was a tough assignment, but you stuck with it and got it done. Great job. At my school, we don't use letter grades. Instead, we have numbers 1 to 4 as standard based grading. So instead of saying, you got a 4 without even trying, I should say, I don't think that assignment was hard enough. Let's do something more challenging that will grow your brain. And finally, if a student is struggling with the technology, instead of saying, technology isn't for everyone, don't worry about it. I'll have something else for you to do that's easier. Instead, I should say, I love how much effort you are giving. Let's work together and figure out what you don't understand. In summary, I may not know how to use different technology in the classroom yet, but I know that my skills can be developed. My motivation to take on this task is intrinsic. I want to see my students self-directing their learning and persevering through difficult tasks. I believe that incorporating technology is one of the key components in reaching this goal. However, more importantly, I must model for my students how to think and work with a growth mindset while using the technology. The technology gives the students the platform in which to work, but their mentality is what will determine whether they will be developing new abilities. As a final note, take a moment to think. What is an area in your life that you would like to develop? How can growth mindset help you achieve it? Thank you for taking the time to listen to my presentation. Here are my references.